The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
We were talking a little bit about concerts. What annoys you at a show these days? It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Or just your good concert story, like Ronald had a good one at 708. Saw my first set of boobs in person at the 1997 Ozzy Osbourne concert at the age of 13. Just wish I had a camera back then. Laughing emoji.
It's funny to me to imagine somebody who wants Ozzy Osbourne to see their boobs. That's not who I like. That's, you know.
Yeah.
Thinking of like Ozzy now, I don't even know if I want him to see me, just me.
Clothed?
Yeah. In general. In person.
Kenzie, come over here.
Like, I don't want you near me.
I just want to hug you, Kenzie, come over.
I'm sure it's a very interesting concert. I'm not saying that, but I don't think I want to hang out with them.
It was something that happened a lot back in the day, by the way, is women flashing.
That really, I know. And that happened actually more at Morgan Wallen.
Oh, it did?
There was like wheelbarrows full of bras getting thrown on stage. Remember we talked about that? And I'm like, I haven't seen this in a long time.
Yeah.
People throw bras and flash. Like, that's...
It's good to know it still exists.
Is it good to know?
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad I know. I wasn't at the show. Now I might go see him. I don't know. Because it seems you won't see that at an REM show. You won't see that at The Cure. You know, you might see it at Picnic. It'll be Northern Island. I don't know.
Bon Jovi said something really funny when he was talking. He talked about when he started, and he goes, I used to get these, like, thongs thrown up on stage, these little thongs. And he goes, I have the same fan base, so now I get these huge, like, panties. He goes, it looks so different. It's the same people.
Yep.
But it's wildly different.
Giant grandmama thongs? Grandma pants?
They're not thongs. They're full-blown, like...
Diapers?
Yeah.
It's Gil Curtis with your headlines.
This is not headline news. ABC unveiled The Golden Bachelor. He's a 71-year-old widower who enjoys candlelight dinners and long shuffles on the beach. The 71-year-old said he's never heard of The Bachelor since it doesn't air on CBS. Fat Joe has lost 200 pounds. To commemorate the transformation, he's changed his stage name to Flappy Skin Joe. Leonardo DiCaprio's friend says he'll never settle down because whenever he thinks he's found his soulmate, she has to ruin it by turning 21. And today is Perfect Family Day, or as Britney Spears knows it, Tuesday. This is not headline news.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Kind of got on the subject of concert experiences, and one person brought up, saw their first pair of boobs at the Ozfest, which was down in Tinley Park, 97. I was there. I didn't see what Nick saw, but checking in, it's another Nick from Arlington Heights who had an interesting situation that was not a concert. Nick, ahoy.
Ahoy, good morning.
He just texted in he saw his first pair of boobs on a field trip to Shedd Aquarium. I had to talk to Nick on this one. I don't understand how that happened.
Well, it was in high school, and it was a field trip, and that wasn't like third grade field trip. This was a science club field trip. It was a blow-off club that I was a part of in high school. It was literally sign up for science club. You didn't have meetings all year long. You didn't do anything. You signed up because you got out of school to go on a field trip towards the end of the year.
Sounds reasonable.
That's why I signed up was in order to pretty much get a day off of school and go check out the Shedd Aquarium for a day. And it was my junior year, and some of the kids in my class were participating in activities that you might do on a school bus when you have an hour ride or so. And one of the girls got, I don't know, what should we say, friendly, I suppose.
Okay, I think I get the picture of what happened there.
And in the middle of the dolphin show, decided to show her pierced nipple to those around her.
In the middle of the dolphin show, huh?
Yeah.
So instead of flashing Ozzy, she flashed the dolphins.
Great. Now everyone's going to sign up for Science Club.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. And we want to play a little game here with you. I have some audio I'm going to play. And you have to figure out what's happening here with this guy. That's all I'm going to tell you. 312-591-8300. Call in. We want to hear you guess verbally and take a shot at it with your voice. If there's no way you can do that, you can text him. But what do you think is happening right here with this man? What do you think, Kenzie?
It's you after Megan yells at you.
I'm sorry.
I can see it.
That's not correct. That's not me after Megan yells at me. It's also not Lucas Giolito when he was served papers from his wife saying she wants a divorce after he said everything was amicable. Just a little bit more on what do you think's going on here? What happened to this guy? Okay, what's happening there? 312-591-8300.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
All right, 312-591-8300. What do you think is happening right here with this man? And here's the audio. What do you think happened in the situation? What is going on? 312-591-8300. We got people checking in. Let's see here. Rihanna checking in from Chicago. Rihanna, ahoy.
Hi.
What do you think's happening?
I just think his girlfriend found out he's been cheating on her.
Very reasonable. Very reasonable.
Because then they always turn into a victim.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't love
They
me.
always have a tantrum, and they're like, "No, I need to be comforted because I hurt you."
Yes. Oh,
God.
you and I should get coffee together.
Sisters unite. That's not what happened, but a very reasonable first guess. Thanks for checking in, Rihanna. Let's go to Terry in Westmont. Terry, ahoy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So what do you think's happening there?
I think it's a guy who's getting married, and he's watching his bride walk down the aisle, and he's very over-emotional.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a big leap.
If a guy cried that hard, I'd be concerned that he was actually regretting it. Like, why? Wait a minute.
Did your husband cry when you went up the aisle?
No.
Oh, yours didn't, Kenzie?
Mine did.
Yours did?
Yeah, it was like soft tears. It wasn't like he didn't bawl, but he cried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I welled up.
Yeah.
I welled up a little bit there. She was so beautiful. I'm like, how'd this happen? How'd I get here?
I ask that all the time when I see Megan.
It's not that. I'm sorry. But good guess there, Terry. Let's check in with Cam in Chicago. Cam, ahoy. Hello, Cam.
Hey, it's Ken. How you doing? Ahoy.
Yeah, what do you think's going on?
So I think either he's having a seizure or he's having a very intimate moment with the Holy Ghost.
Wow.
At church.
Wow.
Oh,
Interesting.
church moment.
Yeah. It's not a church moment. Not either of those situations.
Ah.
Yeah. We'll take one more. Eric's checking in from Chicago. Eric, ahoy.
Hey, that has to be a man who swallowed a kazoo.
What?
Swallowed a kazoo?
Why are you saying it has to be like you've encountered this before?
Yeah.
I just have a good feeling about it.
Yeah. Sounds like it, but that's not right. Yeah, I know. Thanks for checking in. Kenzie, anything on the text line you want to mention?
Somebody said that's how you laughed at the comedy club and that's why you got kicked out. Which makes sense.
That's not right. What is going on here? Very quickly in this audio with this guy. Okay, I played the whole thing. He was going for the Guinness Book of World Records for crying for 100 hours straight. That's what the guy was doing. He was trying to get a Guinness Book of World Record. Crying.
Now I'm wondering, though, with that, do tears have to fall the whole time? What's the change in tears falling? Or can you just, make that noise?
It's a good question. He tried for 100 hours. He went temporarily blind. So I assume tears were just from pushing out so much.
Well, also just the stress of, trying.
Yeah. Here's the problem. He did this, and he didn't get the record because he didn't properly register with Guinness.
So he broke the record, but he didn't register it correctly?
Well, I'm not even sure anybody had the record. He did it for 94 hours. He was shooting for 100 hours to cry, and maybe he would have had the record, but he didn't apply for it. It actually shut down Guinness World Records website. They actually they had a link to it, but they thought maybe he applied for it properly, but they checked on it. Oh, he didn't even try to do this here, so...
That's such a male thing to have fall through the cracks, just the details.
Yeah, just say, I'm going to do this. It's going to be great, and then not go through that way.
Yeah, there's maybe it'll just work out, and then look.
So you think you would have done that better? You would have applied properly before you started to cry for 100 hours straight?
Yeah, but then I just wouldn't have been successful.
Yeah.
I would have had all this stuff in order, though.
Well, there you go. Trying to set that Guinness Book of World Records for crying, which sounds miserable. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Well, as efficient journalists here, Brian and Kenzie on Q101, we feel like we need to update stories we talked about in the past. And this one we talked about several years ago and just finally got a resolution. It's weird how a news story becomes massive in Chicago for a while and then it just goes away and you kind of forget about it. Like all the people disappearing in the lake and the rivers, these people that passed away. You were trying to figure out there's rumors of a serial killer out there, and we don't know what's going on because we don't get updates. I know detectives are working on it hard, but for us, crime junkies, we feel like we need that stuff and a resolution to this,
Right, because we're used to watching docuseries, and we're like, doesn't this happen in 7 episodes?
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Give me the conclusion. Well, this one finally has a conclusion. It's a story we talked about a while back. It's a woman named Jessica Nesbitt who pleaded guilty to federal conspiracy charges for running a high-end brothel in Chicago.
What does high-end mean? What qualifies?
It's not at a sleazy motel.
It's like minimum 3 chandeliers. Like, what is it? What is the rule?
It's funny that you went to chandeliers first. I was thinking cockroaches first. It's not that kind of a gross place. It's expensive, I would assume.
What brothels have you gone to? Nasty.
Cockroach ones. Yeah,
Ew.
those ones. No, I guess it means expensive. I think it means the people are prettier, right? I would assume. And it's also a little more discreet. Like you're not just going to pick up a prostitute somewhere. You actually arrange it somehow through the connections you have. That's my guess.
You think less likely to get caught?
I think so too. Connections, and that's clearly what happened here. So she was making $1 million a year with this brothel, and it was called the city's, quote, premier dungeon, known as Kink Extraordinaires. And thousands of clients over 7 years she served. Or at least her girls or guys, whatever.
I don't think she did a lot of the serving.
Yeah, I don't think she was. Well, she was Madam Priscilla Bell. So she was the madam. Kind of like Heidi Fleiss situation. Think of it that way. And during the hearing, it was revealed that her clientele included individuals holding, quote, positions of prestige in Chicago and the outer areas of the community, including law enforcement and government. So take a guess on the final hearing and what she's getting put away for in jail for running this brothel. She's not doing jail. She's getting probation. 9 months she has to stay at home.
Well, she only did it for a few years, Brian.
7 years, 7 figures a year. Listen, I'm all in on this woman. I love her. This is awesome because she kept that little black book. And when stopped by or, any kind of TV personalities, law enforcement, maybe the governor, maybe the mayor. That's all me just throwing that out there. But she kept it all there when it came time for her to go to jail. Excuse me, Judge, can I just show you this book for a second? And you're on page 7, probation. I love it. I love the vindication of you've got somebody over a barrel. And also, I don't think there's so much harm going on here. People are going in there to do their thing and have a good time.
I would stay away from that. If I were you, Brian, you don't know what the government, what package they paid for.
I don't know. I don't know what was going on exactly. If there was, I was in the whip show at the Renaissance Fair last Saturday. I don't know exactly what was going on.
This happened kind of where I grew up, too, when I was in Minnesota. My friend that I talk about here that passed away when I was in 8th grade, right? Her mom was a dominatrix. And we knew that. I mean, my parents didn't, but I knew that. And then not long later, she got busted for it actually being a prostitution ring. The dominatrix house, which was super close to the school. It was almost across the street from the school.
There's a lot of add-ons to this story that make it worse each time you say something else.
There's a few more, but I'm going to leave those out because it's a little bit. But yeah, I guess that one wasn't high-end. I didn't see any chandeliers.
This is a dumb question. You just said it's related to prostitution or she was arrested to it. Isn't a dominatrix going the one being still in the prostitution umbrella if you're the police?
No, dominatrix are legal.
They are?
Absolutely, because you're not having it's like going to a strip club almost. Like it's a kink, but it's not like schmexual activity. Okay, so dominatrix are legal because those are the ones who will pour something burning on you or step on your back or walk you on a leash. Those are those type of people. But
those are your first 3?
Sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes they parlay.
Yeah.
Some women are like, well, you're here. Yeah, you want to spend more.
You want to upsell?
Yeah.
For the stuff on your
package.
neck. I'd love to hear from a dominatrix and how they run that thing or if you've been arrested ever, because I always thought it was kind of the same deal. Like it wasn't legal.
Well, I think it is the same genre. So I think they call them schmeck workers. And I think that exotic dancers and domination, I think it's all under that umbrella.
Yeah.
Same community, different thing.
Makes sense, I
Well,
guess.
you know what I don't get? You know what confuses me?
Oh, tell me.
How is corn, you know what I'm saying, corn, legal? If you can't be a prostitute, how can you do that? Because you're getting paid to do that.
I'm confused.
What?
What you're asking?
Okay. I don't want to say the word. Corn. Rhymes with corn. How is that legal?
You know what she's talking about, Case?
Holy crap. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. I didn't realize you were trying to finish that word.
Yeah. How is that legal? Because you get paid to do it.
By the way, I hope you're watching the cameras because Case has explained it to me with his hands of what I was missing
It's like
out
what your
on.
dad did.
No, he didn't do that.
Well, how is that legal? Which I'm not against that being legal. How is that legal?
Right.
But then you're not allowed to be a prostitute because you're getting paid. You're both of them are paying you
Yeah.
for that.
I mean, we're in a state now that has, legal weed, legal sports betting. It's pretty much become the Wild West of just want to get money to keep the state afloat. Why not make just all that legal? As long as there's no human trafficking. I don't want to get in that world of that kind of thing.
That's where it gets a little dangerous.
That's where it gets obviously, horrible. But there are actually, like you're talking about, the dominatrix, let's say, they want to do that. I think they want to do
Right,
it.
but that's not illegal.
Right.
So that's fine.
You're saying the other thing is illegal.
The other thing's legal. Having schmecks for somebody for the shmoney is
Also,
illegal.
Porky Pig's here.
I'm trying to.
I like what you're doing. It's okay.
So, okay, that's illegal. But doing the corn isn't. And I don't get it because you're having schmecks for shmoney.
How do you know that's illegal?
What?
That one you're talking about.
Because prostitution's legal.
No, the other one.
That one's not illegal.
Oh, it's not illegal.
Right. They have like a convention in Vegas that everyone gets together and they sign autographs. How is that one not illegal? That's my question.
I don't have an answer for you. There's a listener out there in law enforcement that wants to explain what the difference in all this stuff is and what's illegal and what isn't in Chicago.
Yeah, how is corn legal and prostitution isn't? That's what I want to know.
All I kept thinking of is the corn songs. Like that's why you threw me off when you said that. Like,
With the backwards K is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. 312-591-8300. Can someone help us with this? Because I'm not 100% sure and I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm just for this woman that got probation for doing this because she had her black book and she had everything taken care of, kept everything in order, very organized and ready to go, and gets probation for running one of Chicago's largest brothels for 7 years, made 7 figures a year. But check in with us. It's Q101 with Brian and Kenzie.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 talking about Jessica Nesbitt, who pleaded guilty to federal conspiracy charges for running a high-end brothel in Chicago. But she was only sentenced to probation, made 7 figures for 7 years in Chicago. And she had her little black book, and there were, quote, government officials, law enforcement, and miraculously, she gets to stay home for 9 months on probation. Good for her. I'm happy for her.
I am too.
312-591-8300, talking about this situation a little bit. And also, Kenzie brought the question. What was your question again?
I want to know, out of curiosity, how come corn is legal, but prostitution isn't? Because it's like one's being filmed and one's not. I mean, if any is like, this one's getting distributed more. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, Carrie,
how's it possible?
Carrie may have an answer to that. I'm from Pine Grove. Ahoy, Carrie.
Hi.
So what's your take on this? You have some inside information?
Yeah, so just from my understanding, I'm not sure what I can and can't say, so I'm going to use euphemisms as best I can here.
Good.
Okay.
But prostitution is illegal because it's considered like a social indecency crime. It's along the same veins as like loitering and using drugs but not dealing them. It makes the neighborhood look bad. Which is why a lot of, the high-end prostitutes like Jennifer Nesbitt,
Oh, no.
which means that explicitly on paper they're paying for dates with a girl, but, maybe some activities after dinner, they might go back for dessert, that might not be listed on there.
Yeah.
But for Kenzie, adult filming is legal because those are obviously two consenting actors on a set for the purpose of entertainment. And that's also why platforms like OnlyFans and, webcamming are also legal, because that's between explicitly consenting adults for entertainment. It is very specifically the trading of certain services for money or monetary gain that falls under the category of prostitution being illegal.
Huh. It's kind of weird, though. You think, like, let's say you're in your privacy of your own home and you're selling a gun. That's probably illegal, though, too, between two consenting adults. You know what I mean?
Well, that has to do with the dealing and selling of firearms, and
yeah,
that's different.
Yeah, maybe I'm reaching. I just thought about that for a second. But yeah, okay, that's
You're
good.
just opening up a big old can of worms.
Yeah,
Look at you
well,
go.
we don't need to go sidetrack on this one. We're focusing on this deal. All right. To answer your question, Kenzie?
Kind of. I guess I just feel like if somebody went up to somebody, went to a brothel, that also is two consenting people, right?
They're just not in their privacy of their own home.
But with the brothel, it's the same as prostitution. It is explicitly and under no uncertain terms trading sexual acts for money explicitly. Most quote-unquote brothels are run as an escort service. As I said, on paper, you're paying for, a 3-hour date with a girl to a restaurant. And what happens after that, that's technically not in the contract. So technically, you're not paying for it.
Yeah.
So technically, it's fine, but...
All right. Well, thank you, Carrie, for your legal expertise.
You're welcome.
But now Ryan's checking. I want to get to Ryan because he was at this brothel. They got closed down. The biggest brothel in Chicagoland area. Ryan, ahoy.
Ahoy, how are you this morning?
Good. So you went to this brothel.
Yeah, so I had a friend that worked there, and there was one day where the place was empty, and I happened to live 3 blocks away from it at the time.
That's one thing I couldn't get in the story. Like, what city, what area was it in of Chicago?
It was in Humboldt Park.
Okay.
And so I lived 3 blocks away, and my friend took me on a tour of this place one day, and it was 3 stories tall. It was a 3-flat, 3 stories, and they had, like, lounges with scotch for the men to wait, and with fireplaces, and, like, they would get massages and stuff, and they had different themed rooms. They had, like, a medical room for your doctor kinks. They had a school. They had a school room for like teacher-student kinks. They had a room where like men can dress up like women and like all sorts of toys they can like do prostate stuff with.
All
and,
right.
And they had a whole elaborate rooftop too that was just full of like bunny pads and like weird hammocks and weird furniture for these people to have their pleasure with.
Well,
what was your friend? Were they the person who cleaned, or were they the person who, like, you know what I mean? Were they like?
She wasn't the staff. She was like, she was greeting staff, I guess you could say.
Like a hostess?
Yeah. Like you did at Famous Dave's.
Yeah, very similar. Dead ringer.
Yeah. Wow. And it was called Kink Extraordinaires, by the way. So that's why when you say this stuff, it's not surprising to hear what was in there, but that's still pretty wild.
The place was very elaborate and high class for sure.
Is it like Harry Carey's where you walk in and they have framed pictures of all the celebrities that visited?
No, not quite. It was very discreet, I would say. I was fortunate enough to even step in there and like get a tour of that place because it was just insane, and it was right down the block from me, just in the middle of a neighborhood, a busy neighborhood, and it was just kind of crazy how they got away with it for so long.
Yeah, and you never the urge to go back in, right? Was it expensive? Do you know what the prices were?
No, but they were expensive, and and there was websites in which you used to obtain the connection for that place, apparently, and a lot of people either paid cash or they used prepaid cards to like get their transactions dealt with discreetly.
Okay.
All right, well, how long till you turn? Your blinker's been on a super long time.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.